Psalm 91. He who dwells in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. I will say of the Lord, He is my refuge and my fortress. My God, in Him I will trust. Surely He shall deliver you from the snare of the fowler and from the perilous pestilence. He shall cover you with His feathers, and under His wings you shall take refuge. His truth shall be your shield and buckler. You shall not be afraid of the terror by night, nor of the arrow that flies by day, nor of the pestilence that walks in darkness, nor of the destruction that lays waste at noonday. 1,000 may fall at your side, and 10,000 at your right hand, but it shall not come near you. Only with your eyes shall you look and see the reward of the wicked. Because you have made the Lord, who is my refuge, even the Most High, your dwelling place. No evil shall befall you, nor shall any plague come near you, your dwelling. For He shall give His angels charge over you, to keep you in all your ways. In their hands they shall bear you up, lest you dash your foot against a stone. You shall tread upon the lion and the cobra, the young lion and the serpent you shall trample underfoot. Because He has set His love upon me, therefore I will deliver him. I will set him on high, because he has known my name. He shall call upon me, and I will answer him. I will be with him in trouble. I will deliver him and honor him. With long life I will satisfy him and show him my salvation.
It's a miracle that Israel is still in existence in this part of the world. It's a very, very tough neighborhood.
As we arrived to Barzilai Hospital, a code red alert sounded indicating rockets were on their way.
This is a siren of you hear now the bombs of the Iron Dome. Why?
Panic and terror, and no one can say for how long.
It was very difficult because you send them under fire where to put the baby.
Right.
We've got to protect Israel. This is God's nation. These are His people. They are against so much. We hear about it, but actually being here has really put it into perspective.
You can see the Spirit of God here. Every place has its risks. You shouldn't be afraid. You should come here. God will take care of you. And I think being here and seeing the places that are spoken of is giving me a new understanding of His Word.
Pick up your Bible, come to Israel, see these places that Jesus walked and King David walked. It'll change your life forever. It'll make the Bible come alive for you, and it's going to get you stronger in your faith. We don't have any time left. We have to support the nation of Israel, biblical Israel.
And we want to welcome all of His Glory Nation from east to west to north to south. Welcome to today's Take 5. Happy Monday. Amazing, amazing things going on in the world. A lot of shaking going on in France and in the Netherlands and other places. So we'll get right to that. Before we do, we want to talk about our next tent revival. That is going to be in New Hampshire. So join us in New Hampshire. Let's see who the new guests we have up there. We got Donna Rigney's going to be there. Jimmy Levy's going to be there. Dr. Sherwood, myself, and General Flynn's going to be joining us in the New Hampshire revival tour. So sign up today for New Hampshire. Also, our trip to Israel. You see that we are launching Holy Land, the movie. That will be coming out July the 29th. So on the heels of that, or right in front of that, we're registering for our trip to Israel. November 30th to December 8th is the VIP. That will be at the King David. And my special guest at this event will be General Flynn. So join us there. We've got some great meetings set up with some Israeli generals. Just confirmed one again yesterday in Israel. So we're going to have some good meetings there. You're going to see the Holy Land, and the Bible is going to come alive for you. So join either that VIP tour. After that tour is done, we have another tour group coming in on the 10th. So I'll just stay in Israel, and then we'll start another group. And that second group, it's more economic. We tried to get the lowest price point possible for people to experience Israel, because once you go to Israel, the Bible just absolutely comes alive for you, and it's so important. So look at either one of those. You're going to see a lot of that when we launch our movie, which Mickey Willis narrated for us. That's called Holy Land. That will be coming out the 29th. Absolutely incredible movie talking about our interviews that we did at the King David last November, and Bible prophecy being fulfilled right before our very eyes. It's absolutely amazing, and this is going to be a free movie. So this movie will be out on every broadcast we possibly can, and partner to get the Taste of Israel, Holy Land, done by Mickey Willis. So that's going to, again, be the 29th. So this is a great time to introduce our next guest. They're not strangers with the His Glory family. This is Bo Polny and Andrew Sorchini talking about world events that are happening. Welcome to you both.
Thank you. Thanks so much for having us.
This I pulled out an article. I'll let you guys talk about this, but this came out July 10th, today. The gold standard is back. BRICS to introduce gold-backed reserve currencies at the summit in August. 41 countries have applied for BRICS membership, and it looks like at this summit in August, they're going to be completely gold-backed.
Yes, this is definitely happening. And since there is a finite amount of gold that exists in the world, I would expect that this would run up the price of gold well over 2,000, upwards to 3,000. And I know Bo has a lot to say with that, because he's been timing that market for so long. But it's happening no matter what.
Yeah, I would also just add, what we're stepping into. See, what have they used for generations? For all this time to control humanity. It's a fiat-based money system. It's a money created out of thin air. Probably, the best way that we can describe, actually, I kind of wrote this out this weekend, just give us like an introduction as to, how this is all manifesting and how this has all happened. Actually, the better way would be, we're talking about Mystery Babylon, which is this evil regime that's controlling the world. So Mystery Babylon, evil, only exists because they have the ability to create money from nothing. Yeah. I'm sure you would agree with me, Andrew, and Pastor Dave on that. Mystery Babylon, this evil empire, the evil regime, simply exists because they can create money from nothing. They have convinced the world that this money has value. And this unlimited money supply has allowed them to buy anything, to buy everyone, anyone, and more importantly, hide all their secrets and create war. Tell me that's not been happening.
That's exactly what's happening. I had another whistleblower come forward to me yesterday in Canada about the crown and the finances and all of it. So this whole house of cards is being barely kept up right now. It's coming down, and it's going to be coming down pretty fast.
Yeah, let me add this, right? So we have talked, and maybe Andrew can expand on that, but we've talked also about the BRICS. Because basically there's two opposing forces. You've got the world reserve currency, the US dollar, and then you've got everybody else who's sick of it. What do I mean sick of it? Sick of them creating it out of thin air and telling them, going to all these different other countries and telling them, you got to do it this way, our way, or we're going to, so basically they control everything so these two opposing forces. So now it's very clear. Before it wasn't so clear, but now it's very clear there's two opposing forces. You've got the United States dollar, the world reserve currency, and you've got the BRICS. So now things are getting very clear in our world, right? And so, like I read earlier, the point I'm trying to make is this money system created out of thin air has allowed them to enslave us. No different than what Pharaoh did, except he used chains. Now there's a bondage system of money, so that you go to work every day paying a mortgage or a bond or a student loan or a credit card that's created out of thin air. So you're paying back something. You're using your time to pay back something that's created out of thin air. Like, complete joke, but the world believes it to be true. And that's the problem, right? So now this is the thing I want to add. if their money system were to suddenly crash. Well, how could that happen? Well, what if the BRICS did attack? Because now you got the BRICS nations. Now, what if they did attack the US dollar? What if that event happened? Well, it's going to. Okay, but what if it did happen? Then the US dollar would suddenly lose its value or its position as the world reserve currency. In other words, faith and confidence would be lost in the dollar. Its status as the world reserve currency, their bribes and their payoffs would no longer work. And what would come out? Their secrets would be revealed, and wars, and this wars and rumors of wars would suddenly come to an end. Oh, it's coming.
It's coming.
So now we're getting these two opposing forces, and we can really see it now. You got the U.S. dollar, the world reserve currency. Now you got the BRICS nations challenging it, and it's very obvious, and they're being very vocal about it. Continue.
Yeah, their agenda has been made crystal clear, and we're not used to really seeing that when it comes to geopolitical situations. But I feel that this is happening. It's been long overdue. I wish that United States was the one that created a gold-backed currency that the rest of the world could use. But in the meantime, I just feel that we should urge people out there to beef up your gold and silver holdings, because what's good for gold is great for silver. And I wouldn't want to miss out on this. Even if you don't like having physical gold and silver, I would, for people out there that believe that gold and silver isn't as valuable as we say that it is and can be, for fear of missing out, you should get some right away. If all this blows over a few years from now and you feel that you didn't need that gold and silver, you can turn it back into any currency that you want. So it's not a permanent decision to go into gold and silver. But for me, that's how I can sleep at night, is knowing that I have tangible assets that I can take anywhere in the world and use as currency, and no one's going to argue as to whether or not it's valuable or not. There's no de-goldization like we're seeing with the de-dollarization. It's never going to happen.
Actually, I want to add on what you just said, Andrew. You said something about, I wish the U.S. would, create a gold-backed currency. See, that's, the truth of the matter is we had that with Nixon, right? And so even if the dollar had a 1% correlation, so for every dollar or every $100 that existed, it had a $1 correlation or attachment to gold. That would still be some form of an attachment, some kind of a ratio. So every time they would create like $1 trillion, you'd have to have 1% of that attached to gold. See, that's the problem. Before Nixon took us off the gold standard, there was only in existence, I think, $500 million. Like there wasn't even a trillion in the 70s. It wasn't a word because there wasn't a trillion. And so when Nixon detached us off and detached the link, severed the link between the dollar and gold, that allowed them to create money out of thin air to infinity. And that's what they did. So the money supply now is not in the billions, okay, or in the trillions. It's in the quadrillions. Just to let you know, a billion is 1,000 million. A trillion is 1,000 billion, and a quadrillion is 1,000 trillion. The numbers are so large that there isn't enough gold in the world to match even at 1% to the money supply that's been created. So yeah, it would be great if the United States did, come back to the gold standard, but see, the thing is they don't want to, right? Because the Federal Reserve System is not federal, not a reserve, and they want to create money out of thin air. They did it intentionally because Nixon actually said, we're taking us off the gold standard temporarily. That was 52 years ago, right? Mm-hmm. But it wasn't temporarily. It was a lie. Why? Because they wanted to have an infinite amount of money, ability to create an infinite amount of money supply. And that goes directly with the word of Rothschild, because what did Rothschild say? He says, allow me to control the money supply, and I care not who writes its laws. I care not who controls the crown. as long as I can control the money supply. You see, so it's always been about control of humanity through the money system. And so the United States, unfortunately, has been infiltrated by a non-federal, non-reserve money system that now controls the United States. And to Andrew's point, if we're wrong, so go back and sell your gold and silver, take it back, convert it back into the dollar. But if we're right, you basically are now involved in one potentially the greatest financial event in human history you're about to experience. What's about to happen? Because when the world finds out that the quadrillions of dollars that have been created out of thin air, there is no faith and there is no confidence in that money. You're going to see the sharpest crash suddenly and the biggest gold move you've ever seen, and that's only the start. That's only the start of the greatest wealth transfer in human history. So we're stepping into, and we're actually at that point in time. Because what did we say in our last interview? June 25th was a calculated time point of 1,260 days. And then there's a 45-day window, which is from June 25 to August 9th. That would be the time point where you would consider like this is a Titanic or a massive ship where God intervenes and turns finally after 6,000 years, God steps in and turns that wheel of the ship. So in 45 days, something's potentially supposed to manifest here in our world, and something amazing is about to happen, but both amazing and horrible. But bottom line is the United States, and I'll finish right here, and then maybe Andrew or David can take over. But the United States as we know it is about to go broke. Because when the world finds out the dollar is nothing but an instrument created out of thin air that really doesn't have value, the United States will go broke. Okay. And it's going to look really scary, really horrible for those who were asleep, thought Andrew, myself, and Pastor Dave, don't know what we're talking about. But soon enough, the world's going to realize that we knew what we were talking about and we were 100% right. And when this event happens, it's going to be the greatest wealth transfer in human history. So that's what's coming. And we're in it right now.
We are in it.
We're in it. We're in the summer solstice right now. And we're just before pre-interview, Pastor Dave was saying, what were you saying, Pastor Dave? Stay put.
Yep.
Continue, Dave. Pastor.
I was told to get, when I was going to another speaking engagement, that to get to where I'm at today and stay put through July, not to move. I don't know when or what's happening, but I can feel it in the spiritual realm, and also military intelligence has told me to stay put.
Well, we're seeing the information I'm getting also leads to just a massive banking crisis. And I know that this is this is old news, but I sent you, Pastor Dave, an article right before the interview here that one analyst is projecting that 50% of the United States banks could be taken over by the other 50% over the next 10 years. So we're really about 2 or 3 bank failures away from what Bo is talking about, where this event could be coming here within the next few weeks. Mm-hmm. I mean, these things don't happen when you feel like it doesn't happen when you expect it to. It happens when everything seems okay.
Right.
And right now we're seeing a pause in many of the markets. The stocks are starting to go up again. And this is like prime time to have the rug pulled out from under you. It's when you start to feel like everything is okay. And here we have less than a year and a half now for the election, and that's going to affect the whole world. I just think that there's just a tremendous amount of uncertainty right now, and this is a time to be less greedy and be a little bit fearful and protect what you have. We say that you should always do that, but more so now than ever.
So Andrew,
I'm sorry, Andrew, let me ask you, you're talking about protect what you have, because that's basically like an insurance policy, right? So if someone had $1 million as an example, it's just your opinion, but in your opinion, if someone's just wants to dabble and just be involved in, I want to have an insurance policy on my $1 million, what in your heart do you feel that, it's like for me, I know my answer. It's just like the less digits I have in my bank, the better. We've talked about this. The better I sleep and the better I feel because I know what's coming. Like I know what's coming and I know what's going to happen. And I want to be holding Haggai 2, verse 8, God's money, the silver and the gold are mine, say the Lord. But let's say someone who's just hearing us for the first time, or someone who's just got started with buying precious metals. What's a good starting point for someone who had, say, $1 million, or let's say even 100, more realistic number, $100,000. Someone is God in terms of cash or net value. What would be your first starting point for them?
Well, I love that question. I would tell somebody to start with about 25%. And for anybody out there that's spoken with me personally or any of my associates, many people are told to go with a much higher amount. It's just initially, I would say go with 25%. If it's your first time getting into gold and silver, gain the comfort necessary to know that you've made the right decision. Start a little bit smaller. And of that 20%, I would probably do about 50% gold and 50% silver. I do feel that silver has greater potential. So if you were speculating and if you wanted to make money with your investment, silver would provide the better opportunity. But you don't want to find yourself in a position where you need to sell short term because that's almost always a losing scenario. So investing into physical gold and silver should be a longer term hold. So the reason that I say 50% gold and 50% silver on the 25% is that the gold is going to hold its value very, very well. It won't make you as much as silver potentially can, but it's a good store of value. So if you run into an emergency and you need to sell one of your assets, gold versus silver, I always say sell the gold because you can likely sell it for the same or more than what you paid for it. And you don't have to tap into the asset that you have that has the greatest potential, which is silver, but that's over a much longer term. So I say 20 to 25% initially. And if you do that, you will come back again and probably do another 20 to 25% down the road. Yep. And I know that from experience.
Beverly Hills Precious Metals Exchange is a client-focused firm devoted to assisting our clients with precious metals. Our clients range from first-time to serious coin collectors and investors seeking to add precious metals to their investment portfolios. We are not interested in volatile investments, leveraged products, and intangible assets. With rising inflation and the devaluing of the dollar hurting middle-class families, investing in gold and silver ensures protection for your hard-earned money. Save the value of your money today by investing in gold and silver at Beverly Hills Precious Metals.
Colonel McGregor, I don't know if you both are familiar with Colonel McGregor, but he's an expert on world affairs, very highly recommended by General Valley and General McInerney. He just came on last week and said he doesn't believe that there will be 2024 elections, and he thinks the banking system will be shut down for at least 3 weeks in the United States. What we're seeing in France and the Netherlands is coming to the United States.
Well, let me expand on that because if you look at my who have my chart patterns, all my charts that I basically put together, it's been about 9 months ago, at least 6 months ago, that I basically stated that the charts are pointing to we're not going to have a 2024 election. So that I've already stated that. Again, I don't know if this happens that way. The point is I'm just showing you mathematically this is what it's pointing to. And the reason being is because you have to understand the calculation I was looking at initially on that it's 1,260 days, which is 3.5 years from when Corona began, which ended at the end of June. So we're now in that time window right now. There's a couple of ways you want to look at this. Number two, with Joseph, when he went from the pits to the palace, right? You look at history, that which has been will be again. It was at a 2-year window. It was after the second year that Joseph went and became a second in command of all of the world, just only to answer to Pharaoh. Okay, so basically, the God of the world. It's the man-made God. But the point was, it was after the second year that he did that. So where Trump now is in this is after the second year. So we're in that window right now because the second year would have been January of this year. So now we're in that after the second year right now. So we know that Kim Clement prophecies was he's going to have 2 terms. Many prophets have prophesied that, including Julie Green, Amanda Grace, Kent Christmas, Rutland Bullock, that he's going to have that Trump gets a second term, right? And a lot of the world has speculated that, initially, the prophets got it wrong because basically, why? 45 is not in there right now. You got the jackal in office right now. But you have to understand, we're talking about the collapse of the world reserve currency. You see, Biden, it's going to be a crash on the Biden watch. The collapse of the U.S. dollar will not be on the watch of God's appointed or anointed. And that's why he has to be out of office right now, not allowed to be there until the U.S. dollar event happens that we're talking about. Then the builder, 45, will come back and rebuild. So Trump comes back to rebuild what God destroyed. So God intervenes, financial system crashes, specifically not the stock market, but the U.S. dollar. That's what we're talking about. What built Babylon. And then when that happens, you're going to have Trump come back and take the remainder of that, which is about 3.5 years, which then takes us into an election, not in 2024, in 2026, with a calculated inauguration in January of 2027. So I would agree with what that general said, simply from a biblical calculation, and that's why I've been saying that for at least the past 6 months, that there won't be a 2024 election, for the simple fact that Trump's already going to be in, potentially at the end of this year. And why would that happen? Because, back to what Andrew said earlier, I wish, what did Andrew say? I wish the United States had a gold-backed currency.
Right.
Well, guess who's going to restore that? Okay. So, Andrew can expand on this, but imagine, the U.S. dollar system crash. It will. It's biblical, it's prophesied, and it's coming. So those who are prepared are going to be involved in the greatest wealth transfer in human history. Isn't that going to be fun to watch? Okay. At the same time, it's going to be horrible for those who aren't prepared. Many people, millions are going to lose everything. This is going to be a devastating event, but God has to destroy the financial system intentionally because he has, he wants, stand still and watch the salvation of the Lord, for he will work for us today. Why? So that, what did Moses say? Let my people go so they can come in the wilderness and worship me. Right now, you need to lose that dollar, the chasing of the dollar, to pay back debts that are created out of thin air. Mm-hmm. And so why would Trump need to come back this year? Why? Because the dollar system crashed, and guess who's the builder? He's going to come back and rebuild what God destroyed. And that's going to also fulfill the prophetic word of Kim Clement and Christmas. And, when winter says, I will make you happy. So we're and people are looking at 2024 election. Okay, that's the man's election. And Julie stated this before, and I think a few other prophets have stated this, Pastor Dave. What? This is going to go down on God's clock.
Yep. Not our clock. We don't know when. Anybody says they know when, it's God's time. But there's no ifs, ands, or buts. It's coming. And President Trump just happened to go to Wharton Business School. He's the perfect person to put this back in place.
Yeah. Yeah. Imagine, actually, Andrew, please expand and answer the question like this. Let's say the U.S. did go back to the gold standard. What would that do to the prices of gold and silver?
Well, it wouldn't be the diligent price movement that one might expect. It won't be that we go from $1,920 an ounce to $1,950 an ounce to $1,975 an ounce. It would probably go to about $2,500 to $3,000 an ounce almost overnight. And I base that on what we've seen happen during the financial crisis in around 2010, 2011. And it would be just a massive, massive spike in the gold and silver price. And unfortunately, I would have my beach day. Yeah, I would. So, and
I would actually expand too, because biblically, as much as I think you're being conservative as well too, which I respect. But you have to from a biblical perspective, damages are sevenfold. Mm-hmm. Okay, so these people are going to have to pay sevenfold damages on what they did. So that's take $25 silver times 7. What is that? The thing is just under 25. Let me do the quick calculation on that, but you got $25, you got 25 times 7. So you're looking at $175 silver in a heartbeat, extremely soon. You got gold at, say, 1900 times 7. So you're talking $10,000 gold extremely quickly. And that's just damages, whereas blessings are 30, 60, and 100-fold. Okay. So I'm just saying, when God intervenes, no one knows the exact number. I'm just doing mathematical calculations based on what's written in the Bible. Even if it was 3.5-fold, not 7, but 3.5 on gold, and say 7 on silver, that still puts gold at like $5,000 to $6,000 quickly. So I'm just telling you, that when God intervenes, God's not like a percentage kind of guy, okay? God is a multiplier. Expand on that, Pastor Dave. But everything we've looked in history, everything we know in history, right? God multiplied.
Yeah, and God makes it crystal clear in the Torah, the 5 books of Moses, what the penalty is. Exactly the way you said, Bo. It's 7 times. It's just not a figure of speech. His word is truth, and he exercises his word, and his word is above his name, and he's the great I am that I am. So when he says it, he means it, and he's going to deliver. And that's exactly what's going to happen. That's why we go through 7-year Shemitah years. And at the end of the Shemitah year, if you are obedient to his precepts and commandments, there's a blessing. If you're disobedient, there's a consequence.
We didn't make this stuff up. We're just pulling it out of the Bible.
Yep.
And then, and it basically says, basically we're just looking at the word. The word's very clear. And then on top of that, the word talks about something even more special, right? It talks about, you mentioned, the Shemitah, and so where is that all? That's on Leviticus, right? Thou shalt consecrate the 50th year and proclaim liberty throughout the land. Okay, well, why have we talked about the year 2023 being a biblical year from a mathematical standpoint? Well, because Roe v. Wade became law in January of 73. Add 50 years, that's this past January. You want some, Andrew, think about this, okay? 50 years ago, Saudis had signed a contract with the United States to create the petrodollar in when? July of 73. Add 50 years to that. You know what month that is? Now.
No.
Wow. It's so your estimates of being 7 times over aren't totally outlandish. Like, imagine if it's 1964 right now, and if you could have told somebody that silver would be $50 an ounce, just a few years after that, because in 1980, silver actually did hit $50 an ounce briefly, and then it's done it one time since then, or pretty close to it. I mean, to me, that would be more of a mind-blowing scenario than, say, silver going from $25 to $175. I am very conservative in my estimates because I don't want people to call us and purchases based on what I truly think it could go to. But really, if you got caught, like if you were in a time warp for 5 years or whatever, and you don't have any recollection at all of what has happened in the last 5 years, and you woke up and gold was $13,000 an ounce and silver was $175 an ounce, I don't think that you would think that that's anything too crazy. It's not at all like that. Those will probably happen. So it's just a question of when.
So let's reiterate again for the people that have watched this for the last year and a half, and maybe the newcomers that come on. We quote Haggai 2:8. This is talking about the Lord, why he's going to provide back to the church. It's for his glory. It's to glorify his name. This transfer of wealth is for one purpose, to glorify the King of Kings and the Lord of Hosts. It's not to make everybody rich and wealthy. It's to get his name from east to west to north to south. So I know there's people watching this that they don't have the finances to do that. Trust God. He is the number one person to trust. If you do have ways to do it, silver and gold is a great avenue to do that. Get in smaller quantities of it because you can barter with it. There's a lot of upside. Even if it stayed flat, you can always, trade it in for. It's better than keeping it in the bank.
It absolutely is. Owning tangible investments of any sort, whether it be real estate or gold or silver, are really where it's at right now, because it's just too risky to have it in the banks. And for people out there that might not have millions of dollars or might not have hundreds of thousands of dollars, whatever amount you have in the bank is important to you, and that's what you've worked for your whole life to save. So it doesn't matter if you're talking about 20,000 or 20 million, because to each of those type of people, it's everything that they have. So you have to protect that, not just for you, but for your families. And one thing that I don't talk about enough, which Pastor Dave did just speak about, and Bo always does, is that people out there should not let companies that do what I do pressure you into making a quick decision and make you do it now. It's come to the decision on your own. If you need some assistance, reach out to us. We'll walk you through it, but we're not going to pressure you. And this is a line that I take from Bo all the time, which is if you feel pressured at any point to buy gold and silver, or even if you're just struggling with filling out the online form to reach out to us or to call us, pray about it, because that's how you're going to feel confidence and feel that you're being taken care of in your decision. And we're certainly not the only gold company out there, but we're one that has allegiance to the His Glory family and to people that follow Bo. And we've literally helped thousands of people out there. And you can call us and just chat with us sometimes if you want to know, should you get more? Should you sell some? Did you do the right thing? We'll give you guidance every step of the way, and that's very, very important. But people should realize that that you do not have to be pushed into this too hard. It's gold and silver have been around for thousands of years. They're going to be here tomorrow, and they're going to be here the next day. It's just a question of how much and how long do you have to wait to receive it.
And to the other point too is if the Lord gives you guidance to do it and make a move, don't let the banks push back either. Because after our last time we were together, I think I had 5 or 6 people reach out to me that they took money, small amounts, less than $1,000, and their bank wouldn't let them transfer the money.
Yeah. We actually went like a couple of months without really even having those stories, and then it just started up again. So the banking industry it always comes from the top. So they must be telling their bankers to just do not let people wire funds for gold and silver. Like, their job is to scare you. And I'm so glad that you brought that up, because I realize now that we haven't talked about this in great detail for a few months. And some people are actually very surprised when this happens at the bank. We've had ladies go to the bank to try to send us a wire transfer, and then the bank will scare you and say, you do realize that when you send a wire transfer that it cannot be reversed. So are you sure that you know these people? Are you sure that it's okay? And their job is to help cast doubt in your mind. And sometimes what happens is the people will leave the bank and not send the wire transfer because now they're scared. They went in there confident that this was the right thing. The bankers did what they're told to do, which is to create doubt and make you scared. You leave the bank, you go back home, you call us. We've had people call us crying on the phone saying, the banker scared me, and what do I do? And we just send them right back into the bank, or we send them to a different branch of their same bank. And sometimes we just tell them, send us a check, because that way you can do it privately. But the point is that when you let the bank talk you out of a decision that you'd already made, possibly even prayed about, you're letting them win. And we cannot let the banks win. It's that's the manipulation has gone on for way too long, and it's time for us to take control of our destiny and our family's financial futures. And you just have to be strong with that. And I'm so glad Pastor Dave mentioned it, because people should know this can happen. Now, I don't want to make people afraid to walk into the bank. Just go in with the same conviction that you had when you made the decision to do this.
Yeah, I like Bo's point every time we bring this up. You don't have a key to the front door. If Colonel McGregor is even close to being accurate that the banking system could be down 3 weeks, guess what? You're not getting into that bank to get your money out.
Yeah. Well, and who's to say that they're going to, even when they do open the doors, that they're going to let you into the safety deposit box? You see what I'm saying? See, the point is, the entire world we know is based on 2 words, faith and confidence. And so what did evil do? He infiltrated everything in our world. Everything is now captured and controlled. No matter what facet of life you look at, whether you look at the media, whether you look at government, whether you look at the banking system, whether you look at pharmaceuticals, everything, every piece of our life, now right into the presidency, especially when they grab the presidency, right? Every piece of our life now is fully captured by evil. And that's what Satan does, right? He always comes in. See, man will create typically things, with good intent, but then evil comes in the middle of things and then corrupts it. So just like the dollar initially was created with good intent, it's when they took us off the gold standard, right? That's when evil came in and corrupted the US dollar. And so everything is about corruption. And so if you believe that everything is not corrupt, then first you're probably asleep, to even think that the world's not corrupt. And you just turn your TV on, what's going on. Yeah. And plus the exposure that's already starting to come out about what's going on with the Bidens and everything else. There's so much coming out right now. And so there's 2 points in life, or there's 2 points in the financial transactions with precious metals, that people need to be aware of. Number one is, make that personal decision that you personally want to do it. And if that's what you personally want to do because you've listened to us or other people talk about how they're basically creating money out of thin air, and just ask yourself the question, why was there no word for $1 trillion in the 70s? Because there wasn't $1 trillion. There just wasn't. Yeah. And so a fiat money system by its origins has to continually expand. So they have to keep creating it out of thin air. And that's what they have. So that's why now we went from the millions. That's why in the 70s, man, if you were a millionaire, holy mackerel, right? That's compared to a trillionaire nowadays. Because if you had $1 million in the 70s, man, you are like, remember Gilligan's Island, the millionaire, right? It's just like, it's like what a joke that is nowadays, right? But this was a reality in the 70s. And so, if you feel in your heart that, you've made a decision that, that you personally want to invest in precious metals, then don't let anybody stop you from achieving that result, regardless of what the banks or anything say. You're not doing anything illegal. You're buying gold and silver. You're buying things that are made in the United States mostly, or wherever they're made. So you're just basically converting from one form of money to another form of money, which can go back. It's like going to buy a euro, the euro, because you're going to go to Europe. You want to buy some euro dollars, okay? That's no different than buying gold and silver, period. And the other big point you want to be aware of is when you decide you want to do this and you go to the bank and you send that wire, okay, one of the kind of a decently uncomfortable point is when the money leaves your bank account and you're waiting for the precious metals to show up to your home or house or business or wherever your PO box or wherever having it shipped. Until it shows up, you're a little bit uncomfortable. So you better be using someone you trust, because when that money's left its account, what the bank does say is true. Do you know this person you're dealing with? Because once that money leaves the account, you are technically in that limbo stage until the precious metals do show up. So I do hope that you're using somebody that that will, one word, deliver.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. All right. Any thoughts, Bo? I'm curious. You've shown me some stuff behind the scenes about price points. Any ballpark where you think silver or gold potentially could go this month?
Well, again, we're waiting for that moment that it lifts off. So basically, like I've stated for the past 2 years, when gold and silver break vertical, that's the day God intervenes. So there's something about to happen. And from the calculated standpoint, we're at this point in time where we're at this window of 45 days. Does anything happen in these 45 days? I don't know. See, June 25 could have been a starting point. If you look even what happened, that's when the Hunter Biden stuff came out, specifically right around the 25th right there, with regard to his father, basically sitting beside me when they're trying to strong arm China. So we're at that moment in time where something's supposed to trigger here. And if it does happen in this 45-day window, and again, a high probability it does, right? So anywhere between the 25th of June into August 9th, if this triggers here, it's game on. Basically, precious metals just embarked on a multi-year bull market that's going to be biblical. So, so the first move that I expect for silver is a three and a half fold move, which would take it right into about the $70 range. And then very shortly thereafter, the sevenfold move, which would take it probably just under $200. But again, when it goes to say $60 to $70 very quickly, and that could be in a single day, right? Andrew's at the, that's the day we've been talking about where he shuts his doors because, like for the simple thing we've talked about is Andrew's not going to know what to sell it for. He's not going to know what the dealers that he buys from are going to be selling it to him for. So it's easier just to, and not only will be him, you're going to see it. You're going to see all of eBay shut down.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to see all the vendors shut down. No one's going to be selling. And it's going to be high-speed computers that trigger this whole thing when it goes. And again, they're going to try to, so the evil's plan is to destroy the dollar. And so this is a evil's plan, destroy the dollar, bring on the central bank digital currency, the CBDC, and then ultimately bring on the Chinese system of control for the social credit score system. So that's what they're trying to do. But they have a huge problem. God. You see, when God intervenes, the dollar will crash. But their plans for the central bank digital currency will blow up because who are the bankers who are bringing on the CBDC? They're the ones that are going to go down, including their banks. So this is getting to be where this is going to be a massive clashing point of the Titans. We're literally, and the Titans are the gods, lowercase g, plural, so S, the fallen ones, seeing the move of Father God, Jesus Christ. So this is going to be a massive, massive move. And this will be what's written in Daniel 2, verse 34. And while you were watching, a stone carved out by no human hand. So God is going to intervene. And this will also be what's written in the Bible in Revelation on the mortal wound to the beast. So when, those that think the central bank digital currency is going to happen, well, you have to understand, if you read Revelation, the mortal wound hasn't happened yet. So if the mortal wound hasn't happened, then there's going to be no central bank digital currency. Ultimately, the evil system does rise in the future, but not now. See, because God, he's a way maker, right, Pastor Dave?
Yep.
He's going to make a way for his bride. You see, so if evil did grab control of the world right now, it'd be horrible. And then it wouldn't be how God planned it. So it's not possible for evil to grab the world right now. And that's why we're heading from 3.5 years from when Corona started. We're in extreme darkness right now, which leads to 3.5 years of what's written behind you, his glory. When Jesus Christ got baptized and then he walked into the synagogue and read Isaiah 61, the year of the Lord's favor, his ministry of glory was 3.5 years. And then he died on the cross. And then what happened 3 days later? He rose from the dead and he conquered evil, the greatest victory that's ever been on this earth. And so we're going, God's a way maker. He's going to make a way for his bride. We are the bride. And this is going to be a historic time point in our world as we step into his glory. His glory is going to be the power and the fire. The greatest revival the world's ever seen in this world is about to start. August, September onwards, right? And September 14th, I believe, is Elul 29. Mm-hmm. And that's the day of judgment that God's brought up across this world many times in history over the past thousands of years. Elul 29 has been a very, very important time point for the world. So whatever happens here this July into early August, that's only a teaser. That's only a prelude to what's about to happen September into September onwards. And you can remember the Kim Clement prophecy, so we're right now in the mediators. Summer will be the mediator. So that's June 25 through August 9th. Summer will be the mediator so that the fall can do its work in America. Well, 50-year Jubilee that we're in right now ends on Elul 29, September 14th. And that's a day of judgment, God's judgment. So what happens? God knows, not us. But I'm telling you that we are at the fullness of time. 3.5 years is up. God's about to show up and show off across this world like we've never seen before. Haggai 2, verse 8, the silver and the gold, God's going to use his money to bless his bride, to help to build his kingdom on earth. And those who do not have the means, God's a multiplier. He's going to provide so many blessings that all those who do not have means, no worries. God's got you.
Amen. And he does. Look what's happened just this summer. For those people who say nothing's happening, you got the Prime Minister of the Dutch, the Netherlands, just resigned 2 days ago from the World Economic Forum. France is under fire. Macron's days are numbered. It's happening all over the world. It's not if it's going to happen. We're in the middle of it right now. Andrew, I'll let you have closing remarks on what people can do to take action.
Well, as far as protecting yourself with gold and silver, please reach out to us. Go to bh-pm.com. Right there on the homepage, there's a form that you can fill out. Put in your first name, last name, telephone number, email address. Say that Bo sent you, and there's a section there for notes. And just a reminder that you can convert an existing IRA or 401k into a precious metals IRA. So, for example, if you wanted to learn how to do that, just state exactly that in the little note section, and I'll get you over to our IRA team that can help you. If you're looking for His Glory gold or silver coins, then put that in there, and I'll get you to the 2 dedicated people that we have that take care of those transactions. So the most information that you can put in there is going to be the best way that we can possibly help you in a timely fashion. So reach out right away, because the gold and silver is available right now. The premiums are relatively low. This is just like it was in late November, where there are some bargains to be had and short wait times. So don't wait too long. Definitely reach out as soon as you can.
Bo, any closing remarks?
Yeah, I'll just read one scripture, 2 Chronicles. If my children who are called by my name will humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then I will hear from heaven and I will forgive their sins and what? Heal their land. We overturned Roe v. Wade 50 years ago. God is now with us. If God is with us, who can be against us? God is about to heal our land, and because why? We turned from our wicked ways. What's about to happen? Very simple. The death of the U.S. dollar will be the great worldwide awakening this year.
And then the mighty movement of His glory reaches from east to west and north to south. That's going to be the greatest revival in the history of the world. That wraps up today's Take 5. God bless you, and go in His shalom.